The purpose of the newly formed racial justice team is based on the summary clause of the ULC Statement of Intentional Welcome, which says, "We will continually strive to eliminate prejudice from our thoughts and actions and will discourage prejudice in others at every opportunity."
Vicki Anderson and I are co-leaders of the racial justice team. Our team educates the congregation to recognize racism and racial issues. Our team equips, leads, and supports the congregation to be anti-racist agents with the people and the institutions in our lives. To accomplish this, we've organized into 5 sub-teams.
The education sub-team includes Paula, Olga, Cindy, Tom, Connie, and myself. We recognize that we can't fix what we don't understand or acknowledge. The education sub-team will provide opportunities for our congregation to learn the history of racial oppression, that racism is still ongoing, often systemic, and does not require overt racist actions to continue adversely affecting people of color.
The church presence and worship sub-team includes Gabriel, Vicki, and me. We value the importance of reflecting racial justice in our worship and in our presence as a congregation. The overarching goal of the church presence and worship sub-team is to identify and work to remove barriers that exclude Black, Indigenous, and all people of color. We seek to do this in a manner that is respectful and does not do harm.
The communication sub-team includes Amy, David, Vicki, and me, Pastor Haley Vey. Our sub-team is responsible for keeping our congregation and community connected and engaged in continuing conversation about racial justice. Some platforms for communication include regular articles featured in our Lux newsletter, as well as a new section on our ULC website dedicated to providing up-to-date racial justice resources for talking about racism with children, youth, and adults, and a private Facebook group with the purpose of providing a safe and positive space that promotes anti-racist education and discussion. This group will be launched in the coming weeks, and it will be called ULC Doing Racial Justice.
The Community Advocacy and Outreach Sub-Team includes Miriam, Michael, Tom, and myself, Sheila. Our sub-team advocates for seeing all of our neighbors as children of God. We need to be able to look at people who are oppressed and see them as someone to learn from, not just people who need our assistance. We need to follow their lead, leverage our privilege, and lift up and listen to voices that have been silenced by racial oppression.
The administration sub-team includes Vicki and me, Erin. One of the precepts or general thoughts of how the ULC racial justice team operates is that this is holy work. Among other things, the administration sub-team is working on budgets, rules of engagement, and how we show up in the community as the church.
Racial justice is a ministry of the congregation, not just the members of the racial justice team. The racial justice team provides the planning, coordination, administration, and leadership for this ministry.
This team is but a subset of our congregation and the wider church as a whole, but we recognize our call as followers of Jesus, seeking racial justice and fighting against racial oppression, and we encourage and invite you into this ministry we share.